So I'm one of those people who doesn't see a reason to hate MrBeast, and even if there was, he has done so much for others that it literally cancels out anything he's done and eventually will do for the foreseeable future. The only way MrBeast would deserve any of the hate he's getting is if he were to kill a whole family while drunk driving, and even then he would have to be drunk, because if he wasn't, we would be asking if the other family deserved it or not. But if you were to go to MrBeast's channel, you would see that he is not going to run out of video ideas anytime soon. Like for some people, making their own chocolate factory would have been the peak of their career. But for MrBeast, that was just some video he uploaded 2 years ago. Do you realize how successful you have to be to have building a chocolate factory not even be in the top 20 things you've done on your channel? As of recently though, he's had to slow down on the uploads to focus on his other ventures, as well as make time for those longer videos where he spends 100 days somewhere. But when he uploads, he makes sure it's a banger every time. I will say he has been doing a lot of those 100 days somewhere and those $1 versus $1 million videos, but hey, that's what his fans want to see. Along with the occasional video that assholes will try and find something negative about, but other than that, he is literally the standard of what an up-and-coming YouTuber should model their content after, just with a literal fraction of the budget. A non-existent budget for some. But I'm actually here today for the first time, I believe. I didn't even say anything bad about him when all that Chris Tyson drama was going on. But I see a tweet that says MrBeast wants to put 2 pilots in a private jet for 100 days with unlimited fuel, and if they make it, they get to keep the jet.
We bought a private jet, and then we found 2 people who just graduated aviation school.
Yeah.
Put them inside the jet, closed the door. I said, if you guys live in this private jet for 100 days, I'll let you keep it.
Now I know everyone is going to say this is nitpicking, but this just doesn't sound like a good idea. Like at first I thought he was going to have them in the air for 100 days, and I'm like, alright, that's a challenge right there. That's something I want to see. But then as more and more people started hearing about this, they started getting mad about him wasting 100 days worth of jet fuel and what it was going to do to the environment, as if there weren't already over 100,000 flights happening daily. But nonetheless, the MrBeast haters were coming out in droves to voice their displeasure. So that's when MrBeast decides to respond to all this negativity by saying, I see tweets asking how they'll fly for 100 days. The flying is a choice. They can stay in the airport and don't have to fly anywhere. It's just an option to make it more fun. Also, we're tracking the carbon emitted and are going to offset it at the end of the video. Now when I read that, I'm like, what the hell kind of video is this? Flying is a choice? Now, so you're basically just asking 2 people to live there for 100 days with everything being provided to them. If you can't do that in a plane or not, there's definitely something wrong with you. Like he even said they can fly somewhere, order Uber Eats, but they just can't get off the plane. The guy would have to give them the food.
A really nice jet. It's like a Hawker 2000 or whatever. But they can fly it anywhere around the world. They get unlimited fuel, blah, blah, blah. So they can fly the jet to New York, land it, and then Uber Eats some like pizza, you know, and then but they can't leave it. They can open the door. Uber Eats driver gives them the pizza, and then they can fly to California. So they just have to stay in the jet for 100 days to keep it.
Can someone let Jimbo here know that that is literally how Uber Eats works? When the fuck have you ever ordered something and they didn't bring the food directly to your doorstep? Like unless that Uber Eats guy is trying to sabotage the 2 people on the plane, then he is going to give them the food like any other delivery person would. And even then, the Uber Eats person is going to be told what to do before he's allowed on camera. So unless MrBeast is like, hey, when you give him the food, I need you to yank their arm. Just grab the first one you see, yank them out of the plane. And I don't see how flying somewhere to order food adds that excitement that we're used to seeing in a MrBeast production. Like, let's just say they fly to Italy to get some pizza. Other than them telling us that they're in Italy, there is nothing that is going to tell us that. Like, unless you can tell that this airport is in France and that this airport is in the US, then I don't really see how this is worth spending 100 days on. And not even that, this was actually America and this was actually France. But you would never know that had I not told you. You see my point? Like if they fly anywhere that's known, they're gonna show the landmark they're flying over and then the airport the whole time. Another thing people are mad at though, and that I agree with, is that he says he's going to offset all the carbon emissions. Like he said in the tweet, we're tracking the carbon emitted and are going to offset it at the end of the video. Now people have been saying this for years, talking about they're going to offset the carbon they put out by planting trees. I heard this back in 2008 on an episode of King of the Hill.
Your friend here just sold me a mess of carbon offsets.
You did what?
Good news, Hank. I'm in the carbon offset business.
But if you were to just Google, do carbon offsets work? Does carbon offsetting work? Google will tell you carbon offsets can be a useful tool in fighting against global warming, but they should be used as a last resort and not as a substitute for reducing emissions at the source. So unless MrBeast went through all the options, like not having, like just doing it not in a plane, if you're not going to have them, if they're not if it's not mandatory to fly, why is this challenge being done in a plane? Like, unless he went through every single option and this is his last resort, carbon offsetting is going to do little to nothing. And that's not just me talking out my butthole, alright? That's not me spreading the cheeks and letting my information run loose. In 2019, ProPublica investigation found that forest preservation projects often didn't offset the amount of pollution they were supposed to. And you guys know who else has a forest preservation project? MrBeast. Now, while Team Trees is also to raise awareness for deforestation, it's also to help fight climate change. And as I just showed you, this does not do that to the effect Jimmy thinks it does. And I know he is doing something that I'll most likely never be able to do. Great for him, but all I'm saying is that it would have been better to just tell people the flying was optional and then leave it at that. Mentioning you're going to offset the carbon you emitted when the only way you can do that is by either planting a fuck ton of trees or by doing things like reducing your energy consumption, becoming vegan, using public transportation more. Basically things that you would have to do a million times over to offset even a fraction of the pollution you put out, just fucked you in the end, because now there are going to be people who won't even care about the video and are just going to focus on that part where you try to offset the carbon you put out. Like, I get that he has a lot of money, like apparently he's renting out the pyramids to stay there for 100 hours, that's kind of cool, but unless he has some kind of twist like he did with the $10,000 a day for living in a grocery store, to where if the guy wanted the $10,000 a day, he would have to give away $10,000 worth of product, I don't see how this plane challenge was even greenlit to be a video. Obviously, I'm not his target audience, but I just thought putting 2 pilots in a plane to see if they could survive for 100 days is a little half-assed. That's like me putting 2 bodybuilders in a gym for 100 days to see if they could survive. Only the twist I would have thrown in is that all the weights are 5 pounds and there's no curling allowed. And even then, I'm sure he'll throw in some crazy twist to prove me wrong, and like every time they fly somewhere, they would have to order from the worst rated place for the first week they're there, or like something, whatever it is. I will say whatever it is, I will not be watching because I don't watch his videos in general. I like watching police cam videos. But hey guys, see you tomorrow. Peace!